In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a fender on a 2020 Ford Edge SEL model. I think it's a good idea to tip the edges on the existing parts so you don't scratch up the paint while installing a new part. And of course, I'm just going to pop the hood open and get the new fender. This fender is semi-on. The best thing is just to put a couple of bolts on, so you know it's not going to be moving around. But as you can see on here, the problem with this fender is, I've never run into this problem, but when you're taking off the fender, or even with this brand new one, there's a huge foam that comes on the edge, on the inner edge. Seems like when the vehicle is probably stock or when it comes from factory, the foam is still wet when they do install that fender. So it goes in, and they can, at the factory, they could adjust right here the edge so it's nice and smooth. As you can see on this one, it's sticking out. So I am able to adjust it a little bit. I don't want to press on it too much, but as you can see, there's a lot of resistance, so it won't go further in. So, I mean, some here I could still play with on the bottom, but not much. So what I'm gonna have to do is trim some of that foam on the inner piece of the fender so it does fit nicely. But other than that, I do have it on all the bolts. So two here, one here, one here, here, one on the inside, which you'll have to go through here through the under fender, right there, and two on the bottom over here. To fix the gap problem, which is due to this foam right here, as you can see, it's pretty thick the way it's set up, but that comes from the factory. This is original Ford parts. This is a brand new fender. What I've done is grab a sharp new blade and start cutting it. So it was sticking about 1/4% off, so I couldn't push it further. And what I've done is start pulling on this, start cutting it, and eventually this is what I've done. And I've tried putting a fender like this, and it fits perfect. It's about, roughly speaking, 1/4 inch, right? More or less, but it fits good now. Okay, so the fender's on. It's a much better fit. As you could see right away, the edges look good. So that little bit of a trim of the foam helped a lot. Now I'm gonna take off this tape. Since I have all the bolts on, so it's not going to be moving much. Now it's time to adjust. You can see the paint job on this fender is pretty good. It's like a mirror. We'll see how the color match. Okay, so I started with this one. So what you want to do is look at the spacing here. I tried matching it to the other side of the car. You could also look here, right? So you want to try matching it so it's nice and even. Perfection right there. With this one, I started with this one, right? So adjust the height of this and the spacing, and then tighten this one. I went ahead and there's a bolt under here, so I went ahead and tightened this one next. So what you want to do with this one is bump this out this way, so it's more used to adjust it this way or away or towards you. So once you do that, with this one I bumped it out a little more because when I start tying these two, it pulls the fender inside. So kind of play with it, but start with this one first, height and distance between the door. This one, the distance kind of away or towards you. And then with this, just like on top, you want to go distance between the doors, and then yeah, mainly it's distance between you and doors, and also you could try pushing it up too, like height, right, to make that bubble over here. And as you could see, this is what it comes out to. The next bolts that I'm gonna adjust is here, here, and then these two. So with this one, I'm gonna run it against the line with the fender, so I'm gonna adjust those. And then this one I'm gonna play more with a headlight. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is adjust it to the fender. So what I did here is, see, it's still movable. Make sure the fender is closed all the way, so meaning locked. Adjust it the way the other side. I did tighten this up just to have this in place. That way when I do open the fender, I could adjust it. So over here it's sticking out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of push this in a little bit, tighten that, and then adjust it. So, sorry about the light, getting a little dark. So I went ahead and pushed this side in because it was sticking out more over here. So gently, but also firmly push this in. Make sure this is loose enough. These screws are loose enough where you can push it in and the whole fender kind of goes in, and adjust it the way you want it. On mine, I had to push it as much as I could and tighten this. And then based on your hood adjustment, put this, tighten that. So I'm gonna go ahead and close the hood, and there we are. Looks pretty smooth. It matches pretty close to the other side. The only concern here is, maybe I'm just kind of getting a little too detailed, but actually got better, but the way it finishes here, the triangle, we'll see how it'll come out with the light. But I might have to push this hood, even though it's original, I might have to push the hood a little bit that way to open this up, because this is smaller compared to the other side. Push it that way over here you have a nice smooth triangle. But we'll see how the bumper and the headlight looks. The next thing I'm gonna do is put this back, put this plastic back here. I'm gonna put the plastic piece that goes on here that attaches with 2/8 here. On mine, it seems like the nuts came off on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just support it under here, just like so, with a 10 mil under, 8 mil on top. I'm gonna put this plastic back. It snaps, so the plastic has the 3 snaps. It just snaps back on. And same thing with this, has a clip here, snaps back on, and there's gonna be 1, 2, and 3 clips to put this back on. Okay, so I went ahead and put this piece back. So it did have 4 clips. So 1 clip here, you just kind of put in the hole, clip it, and there's 4 plastic clips, 1, 2, 3, and then there's gonna be 1 underneath here. Hopefully you could see that. So a total of 4. So that's back in place. This right here, remember there's 3 snap-ons or clips, and what you do is you put it in place. Make sure it sits in place nice, you'll feel it, and then kind of hit it for it to snap in. Sometimes you'll hear all 3, sometimes a couple, but you'll hear when it's in place, and it's gonna be nice and solid. Next one is this plastic here. The best way to do it is slide it under this guy here, and then just go all the way in. It should go in place here, just like so. As you can see, it's in back. So I'm gonna put 4 clips. So 1, let's see, there's gonna be, I believe it's 1, 2, let me get the light here. 3, 4, 5, and there's gonna be 2 screws. 1, 2, that's the ones that I mentioned earlier. It's gonna have an 8 mil on top, 10 mil on the bottom. I think these just came off. They're welded on underneath, but they just came off. So I'm gonna go under and tighten them up.